Hello everyone, I'm Erin Spinagle, the teacher who draws. Are you hungry for some summer cookout food? You might be after this because today we're going to draw a juicy hamburger. It's going to be one of our more challenging projects, but I know that you're up for it. So grab your crayons and your colored pencils because together we're going to make it. All right, everyone, let's get started. We have our juicy, delicious hamburger here, and I can't wait to see how you create your burger today. Now, this is going to be a little bit more detailed, but that's okay. It's a good challenge. Even though it's just a hamburger, there's still a lot of detail and a lot of texture, which we're going to talk about in a second, that you'll want to add to make your burger look a little more realistic. So let's look at an actual picture of a burger. And get my dry erase marker ready here. And let's talk about the shapes, and we'll talk about the texture, which is how it would feel if you were to touch it. What does it look like? Because it's not perfectly smooth. You can tell that the surface of it would be if it were three-dimensional. So let's see here. I've got this curved, almost like a half circle or a half oval for the bun. And then when I go to do my lettuce, it's going to be very jaggedy and crinkly for these thin leafy lettuce parts. And then I've got a couple smoother shapes through here. I'm going to have my tomatoes. This is a hamburger with everything on it. It's very, very tasty looking. Got my pickle. I got a melty piece of cheese. Now, if there is anything on this hamburger you think, yuck, I would never eat that on my hamburger, feel free to leave it out. I'll include it, and we have our burger, the actual burger part of our burger. That's not going to be a perfectly smooth surface either. It will be down in here. Yeah, you can take out things from your burger that you would never eat on there. Or you can just put them all on there because you like the way it looks. I've got another half circle that makes up my bun. Now, even up here on the top of the bun, we see these tiny little sesame seeds. You can choose to leave these off. I'm not going to trace every single one, but you might want to add them on there to make it a little more interesting. It's up to you. Remember, if you don't like a certain type of thing on your burger, feel free to leave it off. Okay, so that is our reference photo. Let's get down to making a delicious summer hamburger. So I'm going to set this off to the side, and we're going to get started. And I've got my crayons out over here that I'll be using today. If you want to use colored pencils, that's fine too. I just thought I'd show you a couple of things that we could draw that would not involve anything fancy. Just regular crayons that you have laying around the house or from your school bag last year. If you haven't cleaned out your summer, cleaned out your stuff from last year, sorry. Yeah, I'm thinking about back to school gets me all in the feels, friends, because that time will be coming up any minute now. So let's start drawing our burger. Now, I'm going to work from the top down today. So the first thing I'm doing, I've got like a peachy color or like a tan, a very light brown that I'm going to use to start outlining everything in. Remember, no pencils, no erasers. We're just going to go for it. It does not have to look exactly like you want it to, because you can come back and practice this. And each time you'll do it, you will learn something new. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to draw. And this is very light. I apologize, but that's okay because I want to add lots of layers. I'm going to put in a soft line for my burger bun. And then I'm going to come up and I'm going to pick my crayon up a lot as I sketch in the top of my bun. It does not have to be perfect. Remember, I'm going to try to make this look pretty big so it shows up nice on the camera. But if you want to draw a smaller burger, or if you want to make an entire scene that maybe has a burger, and maybe you want to add some fries or anything like that, or if you want to add a drink with yours, that's okay too. So I've got my bun in here. I've kind of made that edge a little too stiff there, but that's all right. Okay, so I've got my burger bun, top of it. Now I'm going to just gently mark where I want my lettuce to be. Now remember, you don't have to make things look exact. Okay, you are welcome to change things up. You're just drawing the likeness of a burger. It does not have to be the exact burger. It doesn't have to be perfectly realistic either. Remember, we're drawing the likeness. So I'm marking in where I'm going to put the top part of the lettuce. And then I'm going to have a slice of onion in here. Ooh, that's a big slice of onion. I don't even like onion on my hamburgers. Ooh. No, no, no. Oh, and there's going to be, I'm putting on a huge pickle on here. Now, I do like pickles. Pickles are a nice little touch to any burger. I like the salty taste of them. Yum. And I like tomatoes too. Who likes tomatoes? I love tomatoes. And some people are going, tomatoes. I love tomatoes. I'm going to mark in my tomatoes. Yep. Oh, I love it. And don't you, you know what? You don't like tomatoes? You know what? You eat a lot of things that have tomatoes in them, like pizza or spaghetti sauce. So you like tomatoes, even though you don't realize it. And then I've got my melty cheese. So there's lots of shapes in this. The melty cheese, I'm going to kind of draw that in here. Remember, don't start over. Just go with it. It's a hamburger, friends. It doesn't have to be exact. I bet you there's not, it's kind of like snowflakes. There's not one hamburger that looks exactly like another hamburger on this planet. Now I'm going to mark where the actual burger is going to be. Now this burger is going to be a little bit juicier. I'm going to go ahead and put, in this reference photo, there's another piece of lettuce on the very bottom. So I'm just going to draw some squiggly wiggly lines for that. And I'm going to mark in my hamburger bun. I'm actually drawing this burger a little bit bigger than the one I did to start with, but that's all right. See, I've kind of made a bit of a oops down here, but that's okay. You try to get my bun so it's about the same size as the top. All right, I've marked it. It may not be perfect, but that's all right. I am ready to get started with adding my color here. All right, so I might just go ahead and mark where I'm going to put some of my sesame seeds. The sesame seeds are not white. They're like a beigey color. So if I accidentally color over them a little bit, it'll be all right. So I'm just going to mark a couple of those in there. There's also some down here on the bottom of the bun. That's all right. Okay, now I want to start adding a little bit of color. You could continue with this same crayon. This is apricot. But what I'm going to do is we're just going to go around and around. Remember, we don't go back and forth with crayons. That's colored pencils. And I'm going to just start to lightly color this in. Very lightly, because I will be adding several different layers to my burger. And it's going to be a little bit lighter towards the bottom. So I'm marking, or I'm not marking, I'm coloring in where my burger bun is going to start. I'm even going to take that color down here. And don't worry if you got a little messy in a certain spot. That's why we draw light till it's right. And that's also why we practice. Because every time you'll do it, you make this, or you practice drawing this, you will get better. All right, so I've got that colored in to start. If you wanted to, you could even go ahead and take this peachy color and color in your tomatoes a little bit. In fact, I'm going to go add that outside edge to my tomato right there a little bit. Because the tomatoes are not a solid stop sign red. They're kind of an orangey red. So I wouldn't doubt that that would be a good base color, having that apricot color. So we're doing a lot of layers. when we color, at least when you color with me. All right, so now what I'm ready for, I've got this peach. So I'm going to step it up a bit and I'm going to add a little bit darker tone to my burger. And you can try to go around those sesame seeds that you already drew if you included them. But if you cover them up, it's okay too. Because if I look at this picture, some of the sesame seeds are darker than others, so it's okay. If you've drawn them on there a little bit, they'll still show up. We're gonna go back and make them look a little more stand-outish towards the end. So I'm just coloring over here, going around and around in a circle. Crayons are a nice medium to use for when we're drawing or learning how to draw with color and layers, and how to make things look a little more realistic, because it's fast. We can color with crayons pretty quickly. Colored pencils take a little bit more time. It's also why I'm an art teacher and I like to use oil pastels, because their oil pastels are pretty fast too when we're drawing, because they're thick and smooth and creamy and they'll just put down the color fast. So I don't, like, I'll be honest, I'm critiquing myself as I draw. I don't quite like how I did the bottom of this bun, but that's okay. I just know next time I'll do it a little bit differently. That's what we do when we make mistakes. We learn from them. And then you do things a little bit better next time. All right. So we're doing all right here. Let's move on to the lettuce. So I've got this green yellow, the Crayola calls it. And I'm going to go in here and I am going to color in the lettuce. This is a very light yellow green yellow, whatever they'd like to call it. And I'm going to lightly color in my lettuce, because lettuce is not a grassy green color. It's a very light green. And some types of lettuce are lighter than others. So I'm just going to gently go through here. If you accidentally color something over something that you didn't want to, don't worry about it. Nobody will know unless you tell them. Gotta remember that. Nobody really knows when you mess up unless you go, hey, guess what? I messed up. Just if you keep it on the down low, nobody's gonna really say anything. Alrighty, so I've got that lettuce colored in. I'm going to come down here and I'm going to color in this lettuce. It's very hard for me as an adult to hold my crayons because I have bigger hands. Maybe you find it easier because you have smaller hands. And if you do, that is great. It's kind of why I prefer colored pencils, because I can hold those. Those are a good size for my hands, but it's okay. Like I said, I use oil pastels a lot when I teach art in my classroom, so they're small too. Just realized how big I made this burger. I must be hungry. All right, so I've got my green on there, and I'm going to go in with that was green yellow. This is yellow green. I'm going to very lightly add, I'm going to add a touch of green to the edges and up at the top of my lettuce. And you don't have to be really picky paints. Notice I'm not outlining it. I don't want a really harsh outline. I just want to add a little bit. And I got a little bit outside of my lettuce line there, but that's okay because it makes it look a little bit darker and standoutish. That's really what I'm doing here. I'm showing the edges of my lettuce. I'm showing that it has texture. It is probably a little crinkly. You can come up here. We're going to add some shadows up here to the top, or towards the top. I wish I hadn't gone quite that dark there, but that's all right. Oops, I got to do my pickle too. So I'll go ahead and mark where my pickle is while I've got my lovely green in my hand here. And then I'm going to come in here and I'm going to add some darkers. I'm showing the value. Value is the light and the darker areas of color. I'm showing that value. Down through here. And I can always go back and add more. Remember that. You can always go back and add more. You don't have to get it exact the first time. Now for my pickle, I'm going to maybe add a little touch of yellow here. I'm going to go back and add that green yellow, but I want my pickle to not look like lettuce. So I'm going to add a little bit of yellow. And then while I have my yellow, man, I need another yellow. Look how big that is. That is a little yellow crayon. I use yellow a lot. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to color the cheese while I have the yellow in my hand. It got a little out of line there, but you know what? The cheese is melty. So it's gonna get a little out of lines. Some people don't like cheese on their hamburgers. If you don't like cheese on your hamburgers, I understand. Just figured we'd do a hamburger with all the fixins. So you could see how to add them all, and then you can put in there what you like and what you don't like. So I've got my yellow in there, got it up there. Let me grab that yellow green for a second. And then this is going to go off the plan a little bit. But I'm going to add a little touch of it's like a gray and a purple to my onion, even though it doesn't look gray or purple on my picture. I'm just going to add, because onions do kind of have like a purplish tint to them, just so it stands out. But that's okay. I'm just going to add a little touch there. And I'm going to go back and get this a little more detailed in a minute. But now let's talk about our tomatoes. Oh, I love the tomatoes. The tomatoes are the best part. At least a good tomato. I don't like tomatoes that are watery and not super juicy because they don't taste good. Anyway, all right, so I'm going to take an orange, and I'm not going to press very hard, but I'm going to add a little orange color to my tomatoes because, like I said, tomatoes are not like those are the clown red. They're not necessarily stop sign red. They've got an orangey tint to them. So I'm going to add that orangey color through here. And remember, tomatoes are going to be smooth. So I'm going to try to keep my color very smooth through here. If you're thinking this is a little weird having orange, looks like you have orange slices on your hamburger, hold on, it's a work in progress. Then I'm going to go in and take my very small, just like my yellow, red orange, and I'm going to add some shadows. So I'm going to go through here. I'm going to add some shadow through here. And I'm going to make it a little bit darker up through here. Now this picture doesn't show like the seeds in the tomato or all the details in the tomato, so I'm going to kind of leave those out for today. But I'm going to maybe add some shaded areas here so you can just see, because tomato, the insides, when you cut a tomato, you do see like different colors or darker colors in certain areas. I'm going to do the same thing over here. And as you can see, as I do this, that orange starts to make a little more sense, doesn't it? Because it's like, oh yeah, that looks like a realistic tomato. There we go. And I'm going to go back and add some more color to that in a second. I've got this, what's called macaroni and cheese, but it also could be like if you had an orangey yellow. And I'm going to go in here with my cheese. I'm going to add some shading along the edges, just to show my cheese is not just a big yellow square. I even go into where my burger is going to be here in a second. Even while you have this color in your hand, if you want to go up here and take this color and just add a little bit of it up here to the bun. Notice I'm kind of going around quickly. I'm not pressing very hard at all. Just to add a little bit of shading along the edges, because the bun is actually kind of got a little bit of a yellow color to it. Nice bread color. I'm going to add some yellow down here too. Just thought while I had it in my hand, I just touch over. See, it's layers, my friends. We keep working in layers. Alrighty. So now what we're going to work on is we're going to work on our burger. a big juicy burger, because isn't that like the purpose here? We're drawing a burger. Let's make it look like a burger. This is burnt sienna, but you could use any light brown that you want. And I am not, because this is a hamburger, and it's going to have, it's not a smooth surface. It's meat. It's a former cow, which I hate to think of it that way, but it is. It's former cow. So we want to have some light and dark areas on our hamburger. Let's call it a hamburger, because otherwise I'm going to feel sad. And we're going to just, I don't know why I just did that there, but that's okay. We're going to just add some areas to show that it's not going to be just completely smooth. Alrighty. And if you wanted to, you could even take like a peach color, and you could go ahead and put those in there too. Remember, we're going to layer. We're layering our colors, so it's going to be, it'll make sense here in a second. So I'm kind of going round and around and around and around. All right, so I could go back with my burnt sienna if I wanted to, or you could, this is tan, and you could go ahead and you could add a little bit more of a lighter color. But then I'm going to start to add some darker areas. So I've got my, that's brown. I got brown. All right, I've got my brown, and I'm going to start to push in, going round and around in certain spots, some darker areas to show that my burger is a burger. But I'm not going to color with a lot of pressure over those lighter areas, because I want it to stand, I want those lighter areas to stand out. Just like I want my darker areas to stand out. You don't need to be very picky. How do you like your hamburgers? You like them well done? I prefer them well done, not mooing. Maybe you like a little juice, which is actually blood. Anyway, yes, this is a well done burger. If you prefer your burgers to not be so well done, you do you, but I'm going to make sure my burger has been fully cooked before I chomp on it. Just makes me feel a tad better, friends. All right, so we've got the start of our juicy burger. Man, I really got juicy on this one side here. That's all right, though. And then, if you notice, I have not gotten out a black yet, and I'm not, because I'm going to save that for the very, very end. For very, very small details. I do not like to use black. I like to use other colors that are dark and layer them if I need to, because black is very harsh and flat, and then you kind of make your entire artwork look flat. We don't want that. All right, so I'm going to go back to my burnt sienna, and while I have that, I'm going to add a little touch of it up here to the top of my burger. Top of my bun to make it stand out. And I'm going to start to push in a little bit down here where my lettuce is. Not that I want to have brown lettuce, because ew, but just to show the shadow. And if you notice, I'm not going to add a lot. I'm not going to press very hard over here on this side, because this is my value. That's how I'm showing value. So I'm showing that this side's not getting as much light. Makes it look three-dimensional. I'm trying, if it looks like I hold my crayon or my color pencils funky when I'm doing these videos, it's because I'm left-handed and I really want you to see what I'm doing. Sometimes I get carried away and I forget that, oops, I kind of covered that up. But I don't do it intentionally. I wouldn't do something like that intentionally. You know that? Now, if you wanted to, you could go ahead and take this color and you could just go over your sesame seeds, and your sesame seeds don't need to be all lined up like ducks in a row going to the pond. You just need to very gently add these little sesame seeds if you want them. You don't have to have sesame seeds on your bun if you do not like sesame seeds. I don't think they're that big a deal. I can't taste them. They're just kind of like, do you like the appearance of them? They don't bother me one bit. Guess I'm not a picky enough either. Are you a picky eater? Some people are very particular about how things taste. I am not. I mean, I like things that taste good. I'm sure you do too. Alrighty. This burger's coming along pretty juicy, isn't it? So, we're just using crayons. That's the amazing part. I've got my little yellow here, and I'm going to very lightly add a touch of yellow. Very lightly. I kind of went a little too heavy there. Touch of yellow to my burger. I'm going to blend it up through here. My bun does have a little bit of a yellow tint. And don't be afraid to go over your sesame seed buns. We're not going to color around them. Just keep it natural. I'm going to bring that color down here too. You're not pressing very hard. Don't press very hard. And go round and around and around and around and around and around and around and around. Crowns, we go around and around. Sometimes I forget that because I prefer colored pencil. I use colored pencil the most. So sometimes I forget that. You can add a little bit of a touch of yellow to your tomatoes. Because red and yellow make orange. And we made our tomatoes look a little orange. Okay. Now let's go into the deeper, darker colors. All right. So I have this color. I don't use it a whole lot. It's called Bittersweet. It's like a brownish orange color. If you don't have this, you could just use brown. You could use red, just regular red, and just add it sparingly. And just build up the color. I'm going to use this along the edge of my tomato here. I'm not going to color my entire tomato. I'm going to try to push this color in around where the tomato meets the lettuce to make it look a little more shadowy and 3D. Ooh, this makes it look really tomatoey. See? See, we think of a tomato as red. That makes sense, my dears. But it makes sense. It is red. But it's not a primary red. It's a reddish orange color. There's different shades and hues, and it's a beautiful world we live in. And we're just drawing a hamburger, and this is beautiful. So just think about it. There's so many things you can create. Alrighty. So I'm adding my bittersweet color there, and I could even push some bittersweet color into my burger down here. If you have a 64 pack of crayons and you're using this bittersweet color, it comes on pretty good here. It'd be great if you want to have a medium rare burger. You want to add some touches of medium rare. You could also add this color up here for your bun and down here as well. I like it. I like it a lot. It would be a good cheesy color. Make it look a little more cheesy through here. There's also, I've got a dark green. It's called asparagus. You could use any dark green if you want. You can use a regular green if that's what you have. And I'm going to push this color just along the edges a little bit. And then up here around the... And it's okay to make some like lines, some gentle lines, because lettuce is veiny, or it has little lines. It's like a leaf, like photosynthesis. You learned about that in school. So I'm going to add this darker color, not coloring over all of it. Don't color over all your hard work here. We want it to stand out. But there are definitely some shadows. This would be a nice shadow color. I'll tell you another nice shadow color we're going to use in a minute is purple. Sometimes I like to use purple and dark blues for my shadow colors because, like I said, they're not as harsh, they're not as flat. So they make things look more realistic. Just going to add a little bit of this down here. So my lettuce looks like it is popping off the page, nice and crisp. And then I'm going to get here's another itty bitty crayon that's had better days, my purple. And this is where I'm going to really start to push in my shadows. So around my onion that I said wasn't really purple, but I wanted to make it stand out. Add a little bit of purple there, and I'm going to also push a little bit of purple, not a lot, up here where my shadowy areas are, where my bun meets my lettuce. Not a lot. I'm going to take my purple, and then purple and red are nice colors to go together. I'm going to add a little bit of purple through here, very little purple. See, I'm barely touching it, and you think, what? Purple on a tomato? No way. It's a nice shadow color. Look at this, how I'm layering these colors. This is purple. It's not black to get a nice shadowy look. It's purple. Or violet, sorry. It's violet. I just can't read that part of the crayon has seen better days. I don't even know where that part of the crayon is right now. So we're not going to worry about it. I'm going to add a little bit of shadow here. I actually didn't do this in my example, but I really like the purple and the red together. And also, purple and orange, they're both secondary colors, so they're going to give you like a nice brown. So that's a good shadow color anyway. And I'm going to add a little bit of purple, crazy as it sounds, to my hamburger. But you notice when you see the purple on here, it doesn't look like, what is she doing putting purple on there? It really does look like a nice shadow. Makes a nice shadowy effect to it. So who'd have thought? I'm going to leave the purple off here though. I don't want to put the purple on my bun. I will put a teeny bit of purple down here where my lettuce and burger meet. And I've got a sepia. So if you really want to get in here and kind of blend in and make this a little bit darker, you can use a darker brown or a regular brown. Brown would work too at this point. You can even just start to kind of go over and kind of burnish. Talked about this, I think, in the last video we did, when you kind of build up your colors, build up the tooth of your paper. Alrighty, it's looking pretty good, friends. Looking like it's time for lunch. That's what it's looking like. And the next thing we're going to do here at the end is we're going to be adding black. Now, I know I just said, what? Don't add black. You can save black for the very end. I'm going to make this look stand out a little bit more over here. This is my burnt sienna again. I save it for the very, very end just to make certain things pop. But I'm not going to add it all over. I'm definitely not going to add a harsh line. I think I've mentioned this before. Here's my black in action. Black in action right here, friends. I'm just going to very gently push in where the shadowy parts are with the black. Just not going to go very heavy. I don't want to ruin all of that hard work that I put into making this burger look delicious. You get down here in the burger part, you can be a little more heavy-handed to make your burger look, because the burger does have, if it's well done, has some darker areas to it, but I'm going to keep it moving fast. That's another thing too. Don't be too picky and keep it moving. That keeps you from making too many heavy marks that are really hard to correct. So I'd draw light till it's right. So if you draw light till it's right, you can make sure that those heavy marks that you don't want are less likely to happen. All right, so we're about done with the burger part here. I'm just touching up with some colors. And this is where you get to add your own artistic flair. So you can look at it and say, it needs this. It needs this. This is where you become in charge. Okay, I love this bittersweet color. Alrighty, so we've just about got it. We've got our burger cooked. You made a burger today. Anybody ask you what you did today? You say, well, I made a burger. Sort of. All right, now, as you saw in my example, you could put this burger on a plate. Okay. So you could do it on a plate. You could put it on a napkin. It's totally your choice. Since I drew this burger a little bit bigger today, I am not going to draw the plate again because it would just go off the page. So what you do to do the background is completely up to you. You could add, you could use it in crayon, you could draw a table, you could draw somebody in the distance looking at that burger saying, yummy, get in my belly. I'm just going to take a little bit of chalk pastel because I have one laying right here. You do not have to do this. And I am just going to fill in the background. I didn't even think it should be sitting on a table, so I guess I will take my purple and I will just have to improv right here. And I'm going to quickly blend this in. Oops, too many fingers. Remember, we're not rubbing back and forth. We're just going to blend it in to the background. Just to add a little bit of detail. And if you do not have chalk pastels, don't worry. You could also just take a crayon, especially the ones that have a little bit of peely paper off the side, or that has the paper peeled off, and you could add it that way. Ooh, this burger looks like it's on a commercial where it like comes off the screen and it's just like, yummy. Come eat at whatever restaurant they're advertising. Okay, actually what I really want to do is add a little bit of shadow under my burger here before we go. So remember, that's how we use chalk pastels for this purpose. We don't color with them like crayons. You lay them on their side and you keep it fast. You can use a little bit of I got a little bit of chalk on there. So if I wanted to do a shadow under my burger, I would just take a brown, go off to the side and out. It's a little hard to just after the fact with the chalk on there, but that's okay. And you could add a little bit of a shadow. And like I said, you could put this on a plate. You could have like a person with their eyes looking at it like nom nom nom. It's totally your call, my friends. But there is our delicious looking burger. I think I'm gonna have to have hamburger sometime soon because I am hungry after this. Wow. So good work. I can't wait to see your delicious burger. There we go. Good job, friends. Wow, everyone. Look at all these tasty hamburgers. I hope you had fun with this project today. Make sure you sign and date your work so you can see how much progress you make the next time you try this project. Until we meet again, remember to be kind, shine bright, and make the world colorful. Remember, every day is a good day to draw. See you soon, friends. Goodbye.